Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. We are talking with Davidson County Clerk Brenda Wynn. She's responsible for helping renew vehicle registrations, for overseeing all of that. Just kind of been talking about the effort there to streamline the process, to make it as efficient as possible. And so that's who we're talking with. Encourage you to call in, 615-737-PLUS. And we have a caller here, Daruda, who is on the phone here. Hello, Daruda.
Yes, my question is, they sent me a letter and to renew my plate. We were out of town for some health reason. So when I came back, I went there to renew it, and they say we must pay $150 plus the $65 charge. And we were struggling with that $65. Now if we have to pay $150 again plus that $65 is too much for us. Can you give us a break, take what that $150 and we go get the place, please?
Well, if what's happened with the fact that you're being asked for an additional charge, then that's a state fee that's been assessed. But can I ask you to call me tomorrow where we can take a look at it and determine exactly what it is? Let me give you our number.
Okay, hold on. Please let me take it.
All right, I'm going to let you get a pen. But in all likelihood, there's an additional fee that's been assessed, some state charge or some fee that's been assessed. And
yeah, what's the number?
615-862
862
60 50. And you can type in my name, Brenda Wynn, W-Y-N-N.
Brenda Wynn. Thank you.
All right. Well, Daruda, I hope that helps.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
So it sounded like you said there had been some sort of health problem, you've been away. I mean, would there be a penalty, or is it that he had a bigger possible vehicle, or you probably,
well,
what are some options?
What this sounds like, and I don't want to get in the weeds on any of this, but what it sounds like to me is that there may have been some lapse in perhaps some insurance coverage or something, and the state has an electronic insurance verification system that goes through based on VIN numbers and verifies that all of the vehicles that are registered in our town, not all of them, they do it on a rotating basis, but verify that insurance is active. And if at some point in time there was a miscommunication, perhaps with a wrong VIN number in a system, or that the insurance company didn't provide the right data, then there could be a problem with that, something like that. That's what that $150 sounded like to me. It didn't sound like a regular fee, because most fees, last year our fee for the plate was $84.
So it came down. It's 60 this year.
It's minus that. Yeah, it's 60.25 this year. That 23.75 came off. So it's yeah.
So it came down. That's
it did
great.
come down.
All right, we have another caller. Let's go to Michael.
All right.
Hello, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I got my plate a while back and up at the Howard building, and I want to know what that logo is on there. In God We Trust. Some of them have it, and some of them don't. The plates.
Well,
some plates have it, some don't.
Oh, and what happened with the In God We Trust plate is that the plates were the plate that you were issued initially when you first registered your car is the classification. We have class codes that go with plates. And so if you didn't have the In God We Trust plate the very first time that you registered your car, and if you transferred to it later, the state didn't have that in the system. And so we allow you to come in and change to the In God We Trust plate if that's what you want. We try to ask people when they come in the door if that's what they want. And we actually when the new plates rolled out, we didn't have any when we started. We had to wait on those to be produced. But we have them in the system now, and if that's the kind of plate you want, we can replace the plate that you have and give you an In God We Trust plate.
What is the other option? Is it like something about Tennessee vacations or something?
No, it's not.
So I don't know. I think there's some conspiracy theory about this In God We Trust. That
there is nothing else now.
Okay.
And the In God, there is the circle with the 3 Tennessee stars that's in the center of the plate, and right around that circle it says In God We Trust. The In God We Trust class was added after our Green Mountain plates were initially issued. And that's how we ended up with an extra plate.
Now, so I was just told, we had a caller who thought that different plates would identify if you were a convict or not.
No.
There's nothing like that.
Nothing like that at all. And you get to decide what kind of plate you want. So you can decide if you want a regular plate or if you want one that says "In God We Trust."
Interesting. And then there's the other plates that cost a little more, and the money goes towards some cause.
The specialty plates. That's right. They're specialty plates, and we have an inordinate amount of them now. But you get to choose whether or not you want that specialty plate. If you are a member of a fraternity or a sorority, you can choose those. If you are a firefighter, if you are an FOP member, if you are, if you want a plate that signifies the college that you went to, those plates are available. And if you come in, you can look at the ones that are available, and you can choose from those.
Had you heard some of that kind of crazy stuff about, the different plate means different things?
I try not to listen to that.
Because that stuff is out there. But I'm glad, Michael, you called in.
Okay.
Because that helps kind of clarify some of that. So it's not the case.
That is definitely not the case.
It's just a random thing.
And again, it's the conspiracy theories that tend to take hold and run rampant in some circles, but there is actually nothing to it.
That's all right. That's very good to know. All right, a good couple of calls there. Let me ask you, so again, your primary focus is trying to streamline things. You're really wanting people not to come stand in line. And you're wanting people to use the mail and use the kiosks, but you're constantly looking at ways to make this a faster sort of process.
A more efficient process, a process that won't take half a day or 2 hours of your time. There are some days when things just flow like clockwork, and we appreciate that. We really enjoy that. I mean, we want to serve you whenever you come. However, just know that there's certain times of day when accessing our services will be a little bit more difficult. In fact, again, we know that every day between about 11:15, 11:30, and 2 o'clock, we're going to have some long lines because our lunch hours at our office start at 11 o'clock. For people who don't know, we start sending people to lunch at 11 o'clock. We try to send at least 2 people an hour to lunch, because that way we can get through the process of getting people to lunch and back on the line. And so if you come in and seats are empty and it's between 11 and 2, that's what's happened. We have somebody who goes to lunch even at 3 o'clock in our office because, again, that's the last person to go to lunch for the day. So know that our goal is to make this more efficient. If you want to come in, by all means, please do. Mm-hmm. But know that you can access the services otherwise. There was a time when we were having to line people up outside the door because of COVID and other reasons. And my struggle is to see people lined up that way. For me, it's troubling. And so just know that we want to be able to serve you, and to serve you efficiently, effectively, and to not tax you any more than we have to, again, because we know why you come.
That's very interesting to know about the lunch. So that's in the middle of the day, that's going to be busier. And then you said at the end of the month, it's going to be busier. If you come in the middle of the month or the beginning of the month, maybe it's not as busy?
It's really not nearly as busy the middle of the month, but we know that the last day of the month and the first day of the month are always going to be extremely busy because, again, my plate expired yesterday, or my plate is expiring today. On the 29th, which was yesterday, we had extremely long lines at the lunch hour, but that's because people's plates were expiring today, and so they were showing up today to get their plates. But I want to say too that we've got information on our website that could help anybody who's coming into town. Newcomers coming to town would generally think of our office as the DMV, and we're often called the DMV. Well, in Davidson County and in most counties in Tennessee, we are not the DMV. If you are new to state and you are trying to get a driver license, you need to contact the Tennessee Department of Safety and not our office. We do have a kiosk in the office where you can renew your driver license, but if you are new to state and you're trying to get a driver license for the first time, you have to go to one of the full service sites that the Department of Safety runs. So, we're not the DMV. You can register your motor vehicle, but you have to get your driver license elsewhere.
couple other things to talk about. You do business licenses, notaries, right?
Notaries.
You do other stuff.
Right.
We're all touched by the license plate renewal or
Right.
the vehicle registration renewal.
And
but
if you
stuff.
If you run a business in Davidson County, the law says that you have to come in and get a business license. If you're doing business and generating revenue in excess of $10,000, well, if you're doing minimal activity from $3,000 to $10,000, you need a minimal activity license to operate a business.
So over $3,000.
Over
Okay, you need a license.
$3,000.
All
Over
right.
$3,000 minimal activity license to operate in Davidson County. If you're getting married in Davidson County, you typically want to come see us and get a marriage license. You don't have to come to Davidson County if you're closer to Williamson or Sumner or Wilson. Again, you can go to any county and get your marriage license, but again, we're there all day, every day to get your marriage license. I would encourage you, if you're coming to get a marriage license, access our website. We launched a brand new website earlier this year. It's user-friendly. And it reduced the amount of time that you have to spend in our office, because if you go online and complete your marriage application before you get there, it'll take you a whole lot less time.
What impact did COVID have? And are we past COVID? I know so many things, we're kind of moving on from COVID, but there are these kind of things that have remained, kind of things that maybe made things a little better, streamlined or whatever. But what impact did COVID have, and have we moved on from COVID as far as, there at the county clerk?
Earlier in the year, back in June, I would have told you absolutely that COVID had changed us to the point where there was a time when we thought we were doing better about the spread, but at some point in time in June, I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 19 people who tested positive in a matter of a week.
Wow.
And when you've got that many people testing positive, it impacts your ability to serve the public. And what we found was that every day, more and more people were going out. And so we actually ended up closing down for a couple of days just to try to stop the spread. We returned to the office on the following Monday. I think we closed Thursday and Friday, came back into the office on Monday, but we tested everybody walking back in the door that day.
The employees or everyone?
The employees.
Okay,
It was employees that we were concerned. We can't control people coming in the door. But employees, if they're sick, we don't want them there spreading it to everybody. And that's what was happening. I mean, it was just spreading. It felt like wildfire to me. I mean, because every day I would sit in the back and test people, or my assistant was testing people. And we finally just said, we can't keep doing this. We've got to get somebody who is adept at this, who's trained to do this. And so that's why we shut down, and then we hired Vanderbilt actually to come in that following Monday. And coming back in the door, I think at least 2 people tested positive that we sent back home that day.
Wow. And that was in June.
That was in June.
When it did seem like we had kind of moved on.
That was in June, when it felt as if we were past that. The thing that's been, I think, the most beneficial for us is being able to get the office retrofitted to the point that there is now just a bit of a barrier between us and the people we serve. And I don't mean that the wrong way, but there was a time when it just seemed like everything was open. I remember looking at photos from March of 2020 on a day when there were like 1,100 people in our office that day.
Wow.
And looking at the overhead shots of it, you thought, wow. I just didn't think that many people could get in there. But again, we started to serve people differently. And some days, I think that people are troubled by it. They don't like the lines. I don't like the lines. But again, we're doing the very best we can to try to serve people.
Do you think
that way.
COVID accelerated the use of things like kiosks? Did that kind of bring it on more quickly, or?
I think that, yes. I mean, we introduced our first kiosk in our office in 2014. We had the first kiosk in 2014, but it hadn't really caught on, and hopefully kiosks will catch on, because again, what that means is that I think that it means that you don't have to expose yourself if you want to come by our Howard office building at night, because we've got a kiosk that sits out the door and it's available 24/7.
That is good, yeah.
So, yeah.
Fascinating. All right, well, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
If you want to call in and ask the county clerk a question, there is the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We will take a break and come back and continue our discussion.